Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome to Tech Simplified TV, and a very warm welcome to the Semiconductor Podcast. We are back with another exciting episode, and today our guest is Mr. Matthew Barsing from Malaysia. Welcome, Matthew.
Hi,
He
thanks for having me.
he is an investment strategist. He has spent 20 years in this field, has vast experience. He understands how cross-border investments and collaborative work can happen. He is actively connected with the Central Asian country, IT Park in Uzbekistan, and in Malaysia. And recently he has written a book, and surprisingly, his publisher is from New Delhi. He is coming to visit in coming 2026. He will visit Delhi. So we will talk about his experience, his expert opinion about investment and cross-border investment on work, how we can collaborate with Malaysia on semiconductor field, how AI is changing everything, and obviously about his book. So thank you, Matthew, for accepting my invitation. Within very short period of time, we have managed everything because of you. It's possible because you were so busy, still gave us some time. Thank you very much for that.
My great pleasure to join you today.
Thank you. So let's start our today's journey. Tell us about your journey, because you have started from completely different. You have spent in many different field, and then now you are in semiconductor. You are involved in investment, FDI, and at the same time consulting. You are director of EPS Consultants. So
Yes.
tell us how this journey shaped up your career and how you
I,
entered in semiconductor industry.
well, thank you very much for having me on the show today. A little bit about me. So I've been in living in Malaysia since 2001. So over 24 years living in Malaysia. I spent 5 years working with the Malaysian government as the head of foreign direct investment between the years 2006 to 2010. And that was really about going out there around the world promoting investment into Malaysia. And obviously, IT projects, including large semiconductor companies, setting up their operations in Malaysia and in particular in Penang. More recently, I worked with a company in Malaysia, or actually a regional company called EPS. We do staffing and recruitment. So again, I'm very close with the semiconductor industry and understand a lot of the challenges around talent with the semiconductor industry. Most recently, I've just published a book, and thank you for mentioning that. My book is called Unleashing Malaysia's Economic Potential, and it's really the last 20 years I've been involved with the government and promoting investment into Malaysia. So it's really a guidebook on how to invest, or if investors are looking at coming to Malaysia, who do they need to meet with, depending on what the project is? Because Malaysia is quite a fragmented country, as in federal and state government and government agencies and so forth. And thank you for mentioning. I will be. My publisher is actually in Delhi. It's a fantastic publisher, and they've invited me to the New Delhi book fair. Which I'll be joining to promote my book. So thank you very much.
Okay, and you are also connected with Central Asia. How you balance both the thing, IT in Central Asia and semiconductor in Malaysia?
Okay, that's a really interesting question. So about 1 year ago, so in July last year, I was approached by the government in Uzbekistan. So Uzbekistan is one of the 5 landlocked countries in the world. It borders Kazakhstan. It's near Russia, China, and all of the other Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, etc. So 1 year ago, I was approached by the Ministry of Digital Technologies under their what's called IT Park Uzbekistan. So IT Park Uzbekistan is actually, it's a government agency which give a lot of benefits to people or to companies that are investing into Uzbekistan. In particular, they're looking at, of course, data centers has become a very big business, not only in Uzbekistan, but in many countries around the world, with the emergence of AI and the hunger for massive hyperscale data centers. They have a lot of incentives for investors coming into Uzbekistan. So my role with them is I have an official role. It's ambassador for IT Park Uzbekistan. And as the ambassador, I go out there and I represent IT Park Uzbekistan and talk to investors that are potentially looking at setting up operations. Definitely, semiconductor is a very big draw card in Uzbekistan, and the government is extremely motivated to drive these sort of investments in. And what they actually, there's something I'll talk about. So under IT Park Uzbekistan, they for these sort of investments, they offer what's called a zero risk program. And under the zero risk program, the government will actually will give you a lot of incentives to actually come over and set up operations, whether it's software application development, whether it's engineering and things like that. But they would actually, the zero risk program is really interesting, and I could share that with all of your viewers at a later stage. But that includes like a free office space, free IT equipment, subsidy on salaries. It also includes a free training grant for any Uzbek employees that you're employing. But the real benefit about Uzbekistan is the fact that it's a very young population, and 60% of the population is below 29 years old. They have 220 universities, and they have an amazing IT universities in Uzbekistan. So 30% of the universities are IT universities, and they're graduating about 110 to 120,000 graduates every year. So and the last thing, which I'm sure all the viewers would be interested in, is on the cost of doing business. Of course, I'm based in Malaysia, and I've been here for 24 years. But when I went to Uzbekistan, of course, the government is very supportive. The infrastructure is incredible. So it's world-class infrastructure, which has been able to invite all of the data centers and big IT companies to invest. But from your audience perspective, the graduate salary for an IT graduate salary in Uzbekistan is between $350 and $400 a month, which actually is about half of what the cost is in Malaysia. So I mean, as a draw card, the government is offering all of these incentives to make it easy for companies to invest. The salary levels for graduates are very low, and there's a huge talent pool of IT resources in Uzbekistan. So actually, Uzbekistan is really seen as a launch pad for Central Asia, for North America, for Europe, because they've got a really big talent pool of different languages. So Uzbek and Russian are their first language. Then they have about 5 to 6 million English-speaking population. So basically, anyone that's graduated in the last 10 years speaks fluent English. So that's a really great draw card. But yeah, I'd be happy to, of course, I'd be happy to share with you some of the information which you can share with your viewers.
Sure. So you have written a book. Tell us about the book and your journey when you were writing the book.
Yes.
What was your motivation, your journey as a author? Tell us. It's Is it your first book?
Yes, it is my first book,
Wow.
and
Congratulations. And I hope many more will come in the series.
Yeah, well, God willing. But it's been a real joy to actually be able to put my experience into a book. It's really about 20 plus years of experience working with the Malaysian government, working with governments around the world like Uzbekistan, and understanding what is the motivation for investors to invest in a country. It's been a whirlwind. I haven't officially launched the book yet, but I'm sort of still pre-launch. I was with the Malaysian Prime Minister yesterday, and he was very kind and spent some time with me and was reading the book and allowed me to take some photos and things like that. So the book, like I said, the book is it's a guide for investors, for policymakers, to really help break down all of the barriers of investment. So in Malaysia, it's quite a complex investment environment because we have federal government. So under the federal government, we have different economic development agencies, industry development agencies. We have different incentives which companies can get when they're investing in Malaysia. I mean, we're talking about the semiconductor industry, which is obviously a massive industry in Malaysia. I mean, Intel just announced a 4 billion investment. Infineon just announced 9 billion in investment. So, and what's really important is in the book, it really shows investors that depending on what your priority is in Malaysia, this is who you should talk to. And actually, I've got their email addresses, their telephone numbers. So actually, you can cut through all of the noise and really focus on who you should be talking to, and then also what sort of incentives that you can actually ask for. Because that's my history is working for the Malaysian government as the head of foreign direct investment, was working with global companies to set up operations in Malaysia. So over 4.5 years, I was successful in bringing in 47 global companies to invest in Malaysia, which was about 5.4 billion ringgit investment and created over 10,000 jobs in Malaysia. But some of the bigger companies, I guess one of the standout companies that for me that I was responsible to bring into Malaysia is obviously a company all of your viewers would have heard of. It's Advanced Micro Devices. So AMD, they were, they had a small shared services in Penang at the time, and over a year of meeting very senior people in Sunnyvale, California, and really helping them to navigate how to set this operation up. That business now employs well over 4,000 people, in Malaysia. So, these sort of things, the government is there to facilitate and to help companies invest, both in Malaysia and Uzbekistan. But it's really about knowing who to talk to, because it's quite a complicated web. If you try and do a search on the internet, I think it'll get very complicated. And what the book is about is just trying to break down all of those barriers to help people so they understand, what sort of investment the country is looking at, what sort of incentives that the government is offering, and actually which government agency you should be talking to.
Okay. So it's almost like a guide and directory. Basically, a guide and directory for those who are thinking to invest in Malaysia.
Yeah, it's a guide and directory. I mean, I've also put some, I've got quite a few very senior people to write in the book as well, and from both government and also the private sector. I mean, there's a lot of good information in there, I think. I mean, we have one chapter just on data centers. We have another chapter just on a new economic zone, which is coming up in Johor. So Johor is across the border from Singapore, and they've got what's called the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone. And that is really going to to fuel the growth in Malaysia over the next 5 to 10 years, because
After Penang.
Singapore is a developed country, Malaysia is still a developing country, and having a seamless border crossing, then you'll see it will actually bring Malaysia up as a country. It won't just be one state, but the whole country will start rising. And I think that this Johor Singapore Special Economic Zone is going to be the catalyst for driving Malaysia's economy.
Okay. So, what is your expectation about Malaysia's role in global semiconductor supply chain to evolve over next 5 years?
I mean, this is really interesting. If you're looking at the semi, I mean, Malaysia is very well established as a market for the semiconductor industry. We've been leading semiconductor projects for at least the last 25 years, and typically the big semicon projects are in the north of Malaysia, in Penang. And that's where you'll go and you'll see the big semicon like Infineon. You'll see Intel. You'll see all these large organizations. The thing is that there's when you're talking about the semiconductor industry, it's not about chasing every part of the value chain in Malaysia. It's about doubling down on where Malaysia really leads, which is advanced packaging, testing, and high-value assembly. So it's doing what we're really good at, but just expanding what we're good at, rather than growing into areas of semiconductor which is we haven't got that much experience. So over the next 5 years, we expect to move further up the value chain, integrating AI into manufacturing. I think this is really important, and strengthening the role of the supply chain, especially to the global companies where they require a lot of trust and need resilience and quality. So these are the areas that I personally see Malaysia will be leading. So at the if you ask me in one sentence, for my opinion, it is that Malaysia won't try to be everything in semiconductors. We'll aim to be part of semiconductors that you can't replace. And this is really important. And I think we were talking recently, Malaysia has been, we've been announcing some really major semiconductor projects or investments, like Infineon just announced $8 billion. Intel invested, announced like $4 billion. So these are massive investments. But at the same time, I think you're going to ask me a question later about talent. So talent is obviously a main. This is the number one thing. If you're attracting all of this investment in semiconductor companies, there's an expectation that Malaysia will be able to come up with the talent that's going to be required.
So, what is the core strength? I know for last many years I have heard that many engineers from India, they travel to Malaysia to work. So, is it that the native population or the people from the other Asian countries, they are traveling to Malaysia and ready to work because of the ambience, the infrastructure? What is the core strength that Malaysia grown up to this level? What is the core strength? Because it's not that Malaysia has, as much I know, it has also got independence in 1947 or 48,
Yes.
almost similar time when India got independence. So what is the reason? What is the core strength of Malaysia that it rise to this position now?
Yeah. This is a really important question that you're asking. So Malaysia is a small country in population. We're 37 million people. There's a huge demand for engineers. As we bring in all of this massive investment and we're growing the semiconductor industry, we need talent, and the talent is Malaysia has always had a very open border for foreign knowledge workers or foreign talent coming into Malaysia. So under one government agency, which is the government agency that I used to work for, it's called MDEC, or Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation. And under MDEC, they have programs where if you're an approved company, like we're talking about semiconductor companies, then you would apply to MDEC to get a status called MSC status or MD status now, Malaysia Digital. Under Malaysia Digital status, you are allowed to bring in unrestricted employment of foreign knowledge workers. And I think in answer to your question, Malaysia does have this influx of knowledge workers, especially from India. I mean, when we're talking about IT talent, we're talking about engineers. Obviously, Malaysia has some limitations around that. The reality is, Malaysia has about 6,000 to 7,000 engineers graduating for semiconductor related roles every year. Last week, the government put out an announcement saying that we need 60 to 70,000 engineers for the semiconductor industry. So there's a huge gap. To be honest, there's a huge gap. And what you asked before is really relevant, and that is, Malaysian government will be working very closely with all of our companies that are investing into Malaysia to make sure of two things. Number one is to make sure that we continue to build a pipeline of engineers coming out of universities. Because this is not a Band-Aid fix. This has got to be a continual program to ensure we have the talent. The second one, which is actually going back to what you asked just before, is we will be, as the government, we will be making it very easy to bring talent in from overseas. Now, Malaysia has always, from my history, the last 20 years, Malaysia has always had programs to bring in foreign knowledge workers. One, because, to bridge the talent gap. Number two is to bring talent in that can do technology transfer and training and things like that, to bring the Malaysian engineers and Malaysia IT industry up. Why? Now, this goes back to another one of your questions. If we are attracting foreign knowledge workers and in particular from India, because this has got a huge talent pool, Malaysia is very easy to live for Indian nationals coming here. We're a multilingual society. To be honest, I did an interview on national TV last week, and I've been here for 24 years, and I never consider that English is a second language, because everybody speaks fluent English, and we have conversations every day. So I really see that this multilingual society, Malaysia is made up of primarily three ethnic groups. So you have your Malay, you have your Chinese, and you have your Indian. And they're the three ethnic groups that are in Malaysia. So I guess from a perspective of bringing in foreign knowledge workers to Malaysia, you can look at it from a perspective. Number one is it's great exposure. Malaysia is now, this year is the chairperson or chair country of ASEAN 2025, and ASEAN, that means if you're combining all the ASEAN countries, that's a population of just under 700 million. Malaysia, yes, is 37 million, but so from the perspective of why would engineers or talent, IT talent, be interested to spend time living and working in Malaysia? Obviously, it's a great opportunity. We've got a lot of global companies, a lot of investment, a lot of technology, a lot of R&D. So there's great opportunities for growth in Malaysia. from a family perspective, if you're coming here, you wouldn't feel out of. It doesn't matter what country you're coming from. You don't feel out of place. I mean, I come from Australia, and I feel like that all of the people in Malaysia are like family to me. So I think that is a really warm, welcoming environment. And also because the government has really been focusing on facilitating employment passes and streamlining the process of bringing foreign talent to Malaysia, this is going to be a very big thing. And any of your viewers that are listening, please do follow me on LinkedIn, because I talk about this quite often. And I'm working with the government at a federal level. I'm also working with the government at a state level. We're doing a lot of upskilling and training programs to get our graduates ready for work, because obviously with AI and technology, things are moving very fast. But Malaysia is I'm not local, but I feel like I'm part of the Malaysian family, and I'm sure that anyone that comes to Malaysia will feel very at home and will really fit in very well.
Wow. So, what do you think about India-Malaysia collaboration in semiconductor field? Because it's now, semiconductor was there. Now it's becoming for India. Actually, it's now government is very much interested in investing, and this training and skill. So many incentive programs are there. Every month you will get to know that there some projects are coming up, and the way you mentioned that Malaysia has a complex structure. State here also in India we have a federal structure and a state. So every state is announcing their semiconductor policy. So for India and Indian population, this is a completely very exciting time with respect to semiconductor. So is it possible that we can think about collaboration between these two countries? Because in traditional sector, there we are doing business and trades for many years, and whatever connection or collaboration are there, can we extend? Can we make it large a little bit more in between these two countries, India and Malaysia?
Yeah, this is and I think this sort of goes back to what I was just talking about. I was very fortunate when I worked with the Malaysian government to spend time in India, and it was really about. It wasn't so much. It's not about competing. I think what you said is right. It's not about Malaysia competing against India, but there's so much opportunity right now.
Exactly.
So there's a massive opportunity to have focus on what our strengths are, and India, you have definitely have strengths in India. I mean, your IT talent is incredible. You have an abundance of technology talent in India. So I think the opportunity for collaboration, especially when we're talking about the semiconductor industry, I believe is around talent exchange program and also knowledge sharing. So it's not, like I said before, it's not about Malaysia having one size fits all. We really are focusing on what we've been doing really well, and we're growing what we've been doing really well, and because we have our own limitations in Malaysia. So going back to your sort of your comment, right? So if you're looking at what Malaysia is doing in the semiconductor industry, I mentioned it earlier. What our strengths are. But if you're looking at, I think at a G2G level, definitely there's a lot of interest around governments working together, and this is going to get into a little bit of a sensitive topic, but I think your audience or your viewers would appreciate this. If you're looking at what's happening in Asia, in ASEAN and in Asia right now, you've got countries now talking to other countries in Asia and ASEAN and becoming less dependent on the US. And that's happening. I mean, there's a lot of triggers and policies which are being put in place, which become quite restrictive, for growing companies. And especially in the semiconductor space, I mean, it's really every day we're talking about it. We're saying, well, I don't know, what is the tariff on semiconductors? Because it seems to change every day. In Malaysia, they said 100% tariff, and then we go, well, hang on a minute. We negotiated a trade deal with the US. How can you impose 100% tariff on semiconductors? And then they said, well, these sections won't have any tariffs at all. So actually, there's a lot of confusion. So I'm not talking about this so much about the US, but I'm talking more about our as a ASEAN or Asian countries.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Even because that became more relevant in exactly what is happening in present geopolitical situation. It's become more important that we think about ASEAN and Asian in this collaboration, and that's why India could enter in the ASEAN group through Malaysia, because Malaysia is right now leading, as you mentioned, for this year, and that could be a very good entry point for our country. Another thing that just you mentioned, the tariff, the viral the senator in the US showed the banana and asked, "What's the tariff on banana? Can we grow banana in America?" Have you seen that? It's become viral. It's too good, so logical. She has explained because she understands how the kitchen runs. And no,
you
I
must
enjoyed
know.
that.
I love these things.
So that's why I'm saying those countries, because now Vietnam, Philippines, and Singapore is already very established. If Singapore and Taiwan is far ahead of us, obviously, and there is huge Indian population also. They are working. I know few of engineers who are seniors in my college and in industry. They are working there. So for rest of the country, we can have a good collaborative efforts. And what do you think that how this could change the scenario for this country? Because the tariff scenario is one to many, from one country to many. It's coming, and still the heart of this real estate industry that is in Silicon Valley, which is in
Yes.
US. So how we can utilize our collaboration in this situation so that we can have some edge in this implementing tariff scenario? Do you think
Yeah.
it is possible?
I mean, I'm the eternal optimist. So
As
I
you
think
mentioned,
I think anything is possible. I think all of this restrictive trade practices that the US is having now, especially when it comes to foreigners in the US. This also plays into countries like India and Malaysia and Southeast Asia, because we don't have these restrictive policies. So if they want to, if the US want to reduce their dependence on foreign labor, Malaysia welcomes foreign labor with open arms. So we're absolutely categorically opposite to the US. We're saying, please come to Malaysia. We need talent. We need more experienced people, especially in the semiconductor space. And like I said before, Malaysia has all of these programs in place to make it very easy to find jobs in Malaysia for foreign talent, to bring foreign talent to Malaysia. And like I said, because the environment and the government in Malaysia, it's very easy to feel at home once you're in Malaysia. I think that obviously we're talking about what is the core strength, right? So Malaysia's got over 50 years experience in the supply chain and workforce, and a very business-friendly environment. Add in, like I said before, you add in that we're neighbours to ASEAN, and that's a population of nearly 700 million. So for me, I see that there is a massive opportunity. India has always been very close to Malaysia.
Yes.
I mean, we've always been speaking about how we can work more closely together. Especially doing this technology transfer, including employing Indians, people from India to come and work in Malaysia. We also have a lot of remote workforce now as well. So this is another big thing that is taking place, right? So we're breaking down the borders because there's a lot more remote workforce as well. So you're talking about before, why would about living and working in Malaysia? Actually, there's opportunities now where you could actually be working from Hyderabad or Delhi or Bombay, and working remotely. So I think that the borders, especially, I mean, this happened over the 5 years during COVID, right? We learned to work remotely. So right now we're working with the Malaysian government on talent. We're talking about having a remote workforce. We're also talking about once they've maybe 6 months into the job, if they want to move to Malaysia, once they feel comfortable with their job and environment, then they could actually move to Malaysia. So I don't think it's like it's what it's doing is it's mitigating risk as well. So in a nutshell, I believe that the biggest opportunity especially if we're talking about the semiconductor industry, is talent. It's the number one priority right now is talent, and Malaysia has to outreach, especially to our dear friends in India, because that's where we can actually grow our talent base in the semicon industry in Malaysia.
Exactly. So, which are the sectors where we can collaborate, like medical devices, automotive, AI chips, packaging? What do you think? Which is the best way to start or broaden these collaborative efforts between these two countries?
Yeah, I think we'll talk. I mean, it's really about looking at what sectors that Malaysia has already here. So all of those sectors that you just mentioned, they're absolute priorities for Malaysia. So it's about finding the balance between Malaysia just trying to fill jobs and bring people here to what we can do between the countries at an economic or industry perspective, looking at these growing sectors which you just mentioned, and I really feel that there's an opportunity to have that collaboration, because India is in front of Malaysia in so many different areas, and I'm sure that Malaysia has a lot of benefits that we could be doing or be collaborating with India as well.
And when it comes about that China plus one strategy, we can utilize that also quite well. Both the countries, Malaysia and India, we can take benefit of that. So,
sorry, it's really interesting when you talk about China. So we've been at the government level. We've been talking about China. China over the last 10 years has been on a growth like this. I mean, it's but the reality is now China is a developed country. It's a world-class economy. It's not a third world country, even though others might like to brand China and India as third world countries, but they're not. China has been, I mean, it's a developed country, and it's the GDP is high. It's got a very highly educated population. It's got world-class infrastructure. It's got some of the loveliest cities around the world are in China. I mean, technology wise and so forth. So underestimating, and of course we should talk about India as well, but underestimating China and India, which are the two world powers, other than the US. I mean, from a population perspective, they're 3 times bigger than the US. But both of those countries, India and China, and now with China, I think that there's opportunity, because China now is looking at that they can't grow anymore, or very gradual growth only within China now. So that's a very developed market for China. And now China market is looking at, okay, we need to have partners in India, or we need to have partners in Malaysia or ASEAN, because we need to open new markets. So I think the China Plus One, which is what you mentioned, is really important. But it's also important to understand the perspectives of why the time is now. Because, I think a lot of people don't really understand, or maybe they just don't think about, the fact that China has grown to be a developed economy over the last sort of 5 to 10 years, and now they're looking at opportunities for growth outside of China.
And when we talk about that when two countries are working, cross-border collaboration is happening. So, what are the most important thing that we should take care regarding regulatory things about IP, data sovereignty, security, that how we can manage all of these things?
I mean, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about next, is on the security side, right? So Malaysia, I mean, I'm not, I would love to hear your thoughts on India, but from Malaysia perspective, security and IP protection is something which is a high priority here, and Malaysia has become, it's a safe country to do business. We're otherwise, you wouldn't see billions of investment coming in if there was issues around the security. So Malaysia has implemented a lot of policies around data security, around IP security, around all of this intellectual property, which is super important. How we can work with India. That is obviously up to the companies to sort of find out what the opportunity is, but certainly if you research what Malaysia has done in the last sort of I mean, Malaysia is a developed country. We've been developing IP security and all of these policies for the last 25 or 30 years. So now. That's why, like I said, these large investments the first thing they'll do is they look at the risk, right? And if there's, depending on the risk profile of the country, I mean, there's many countries that investors can choose, but why do they choose Malaysia? And number one is security. Absolutely. So I agree with what you're saying. The opportunity, I think, is to get that alignment between Malaysia and India, to understand is our policy and our process on data security, IP protection, copyright protection, is that aligned with India? And that could be a certain highway between the two countries, in my own opinion.
Okay. So you are basically connected with investing and investment, and also any plan, because you are visiting India, any plan on investment and all, and any plan to visit any state other than New Delhi? Other than Buffet, because the closest state is UP, and UP is right now one of the front runner, the CM of that state. He is very keen to bring investment, and that state has changed for last 5-7 years. It's completely changed, so it's doing progress in high speed. So any plan?
Right now, because of what you just said, absolutely. I would love to come over. I mean, I got great joy out of, visiting Uzbekistan. No, I've never heard of Uzbekistan before. But when I went over there, I saw the infrastructure, being the safest country in Central Asia, ninth safest country in the world, a young population. Then I became very passionate about Uzbekistan. And it's the same with India. I mean, my history with India goes back 20 years. When
Okay.
I was first visiting India, the gateway to India and Bombay or Mumbai.
Now
Uh,
Mumbai.
Mumbai now. So and to be honest, I would love to come back over. Maybe with a government visit. Let me find out if the Malaysian government has any visits organised. They tend
Great.
to come to India a couple of times a year. I would love to join one of those delegations and really come over and that's something we can certainly collaborate on. We can open the doors, and then we can really start talking about this cross-border collaboration, and
So
rather than just talking about it, we can actually put something together, really tangible together, because the infrastructure and what you're talking about is the growth in India is something that I would love to actually see with my own eyes, and come over there and the
the
way
country
that
is changing,
so,
and
so the
it has changed in last 5-10 years. So, and it's changing for better. So infrastructure and all. And I can tell you, previously it was only Bangalore and Hyderabad. Chennai has also got very good investments, and IIT Madras, which is in Chennai. Chennai is also the capital of Tamil Nadu. So IIT Madras, it's leading. There are so many startups are incubating in the IITs.
yes,
Now Gujarat, which is traditionally in different types of industry, now they have many industrialists there venturing into this semiconductor. Other than the Tata facility, OSAT facility, there are so many. Micron has set up their facility there. Now UP has their the government of UP, which is the closest state to New Delhi, very close to
mm,
our capital region. In fact, the part of UP is in the national capital region declared as NCR. So there is also Noida, Greater Noida. It's increasing. The things are increasing, and in eastern part, Andhra Pradesh, the new government, they are very keen. Recently, a top official from Infineon, he has visited Andhra Pradesh, and I have seen all these photo in LinkedIn. And then Orissa, the next state. So one after one state, they are declaring their semiconductor policy and bringing investment. Government is state government and central government, they are collaborating, and things are going. It's good for Indian youth and semiconductor industry. It's a great time for us, we'll say.
wow. Well, of course, we all are busy in our own part of the world doing our own thing,
Hmm.
and what you're saying is really exciting, and I think that I hope that we're having some people tune in from our side of the world as well,
Sure.
that can hear about India, because maybe India are definitely for in semiconductor or the large global companies. I mean, they look at India, for all the strengths, right? But where you're talking is something that I've not really considered, is the fact that the infrastructure, the environment, and all of that has probably really changed since I was last in India.
Changing, and it's even more changing. You this time you will visit, you can see that one of the biggest thing is that the UPI, the way we pay now, cashless payment, it's
Mm,
become so popular in fact very small, the roadside, we call thelas, like small carts, they
yeah,
also accept
yeah.
this only a tap and you have transferred the money into account. Everyone, you come to Delhi and you can see, you can if you like pani puri and all of these Indian street food, you don't need to have the cash. You can, with this UPI you can do it, and it's so popular. People are accepting the things, uh, and it's not that everyone, maybe the vendor is only fourth standard, has only studied up to fourth standard, fifth standard, they are
Yeah.
also accepting it, because
I,
this currency thing, things are changing in India, changing for better.
you know that so it's really refreshing to hear, because I think Malaysia is very much the same. I mean, we're pretty much a cashless society. I mean, very rare that I would ever go to an ATM. Maybe once a month, if that, I would go to an ATM machine. There was something very interesting, so I'm sure your viewers will love to
Sure.
find it on YouTube. So there was a YouTube a video which was put out about a month ago, and it was from a guy that I'm sure everybody's heard of. His name is Bill Gates. So the co-founder of Microsoft. So he was actually in Singapore at a hawker stand. So like a mamak, right? Buying roti canai or some and Milo ice or something like that. And when he went there, they said, well, it's they said that's $7, and he said, oh, I haven't got any cash on me, and they said, well, we don't accept cash. He said, well, what do you mean you don't accept cash? They said, we only accept, you just scan a QR code, and you can pay by your wallet. By like in Malaysia, it's called Grab, or it's called Touch and Go, or there's several different wallets, right? And in India, obviously, there's more. But when Bill Gates said, he said, that's amazing. He said, you can just do that and you can pay. And I'm sure that all the viewers will jump onto YouTube straight away so they can see it. Because actually, I thought it was quite comical that the founder of one of the largest companies in the world wasn't aware that Asia had moved into this cashless society. So what you're saying is really, I mean, this is really showing to the world that actually we've become really developing / developed countries, and I always talk about AI. I talk to different conferences and on LinkedIn I speak about AI all the time, and the thing is like, even with payments or AI, I mean, I see India as the sleeping giant. No, I mean, we've seen over the last. So sorry, I just the last thing I wanted to talk about is, over the last 2 years, especially since sort of ChatGPT became a household name, and everybody was, you're seeing all of these companies spring up from Asia, from the US, from China, and I've always wondered. I said, India's got this amazing population of the most intelligent people I've ever met when it comes to IT and software and application development and AI. And I just think that India is the sleeping giant when it comes to all of this technology. So I'm avidly watching, because the technology is moving so rapidly now, and it takes brilliant minds to actually be able to catch up with the trends. And obviously the last thing, which I'm sure all of our viewers in India have been eagerly watching, is this war on talent. The war on talent right now. You've got NVIDIA offering $100 million packages to AI geniuses, and we're talking about kids. We're talking about kids in their 20s. Are getting $100 million job offers. So there's a massive opportunity right now, and I see India is. No, I'm really, really excited about the future, and especially with all of this massive amount of talent that India has been sort of harvesting for the last 20 years. That I'm just excited to see the future right now.
Okay. So, what do you think? Which one is the best financing route, like VC or sovereign funds, development bank, equity, crowdfunding for cross-border projects and all? Which one is the best?
So I've got quite a bit of experience in raising capital, and you ask a very complicated question. There's not one size fits all. There absolutely is
Okay.
not one size fits all. If it's there's money being poured on AI startups right now. Every day there's a unicorn. A company which was founded in the last 12 months. You heard about Nina Murati. She was the co-founder of OpenAI, and she is launching a startup which already is got a valuation of like $12 billion pre-launch. So for AI companies. So for me, that where does the money come from? It depends what sort of investment you're looking at. You spoke about sovereign investments. Sovereign investments is the governments through their sovereign wealth funds and through government programs, they are throwing money at AI and technology companies. There's no doubt about it. The VCs also throwing money. And it's just really understanding. So I don't think it's a one size fits all. You asked me where for this cross-border investment, right?
Exactly.
So for cross-border investment, it's not a one-size-fits-all. It really comes down to, what sort of company, what sort of products, what sort of marketplace, and then it's really developing your funding strategy, understanding who is the one going to be giving the funding. So in particular, I'm very fortunate to be sitting as a mentor in a very large venture capital fund called Orbit Startups. So Orbit Startups has investments in India, in China. They have a pretty big team in Shanghai, in China. They have another team in Qatar, Middle East, Silicon Valley, Malaysia. And they have about 250 portfolio companies. But now it's not just a matter of technology companies raising money. It's about raising smart money. So one of the and William, who is the co-founder of Orbit Startups, so they're about a 1.3 billion US fund. They've got about 240 portfolio companies, and what they do is very different. So they're early stage investor. But they're very quick to make a decision on investments. So if there's any startups that are looking for investment, please ping me and I'll introduce you to Orbit Startups. But the real benefit of aligning with a venture capital fund like Orbit Startups is they give you market access across the world. So it's not just about taking money anymore. So you're asking which one is best, whether it's sovereign funds, whether it's private equity. Private equity is more for developed companies rather than VC is sort of early stage. The benefit of giving equity away and raising money from a venture capital like Orbit Startups is they have programs to give you market access across all of these countries. So especially companies out of India that are looking at Asia, for instance, or they're looking at North America, or they're looking at EMEA, Middle East, China, or getting investment from Orbit Venture Capital gives them immediate access to all of these markets through Orbit Venture Capital networks. So they've got a team in Shanghai that all they do is cross-border introductions and trade for all of their portfolio companies. So in a nutshell, that I'm not giving you a one-size-fits-all answer. It's more of a roundabout, learning from my own experience.
Okay. And my final question, if you could launch one flagship cross-border project now or seed a Pan-Asian alliance, what would be and why?
Has to be to do with AI. Fintech
Okay.
is obviously, I mean, you were talking about fintech and you were talking about, the emergence of this technology in India. I think there's still a lot of room for growth cross border,
Okay.
and there's a lot of hunger, in this part of the world to have these sort of cross border relationships or partnerships. So if you're asking me for the two things, one is fintech, the other one is AI. So any AI. I mean, there's absolute hunger in this part of the world, and I think that what I mentioned before is talking about India as this technology amazing country, which has been a technology driven economy for so many years.
Hmm.
I think it's really opening up those opportunities to especially we're talking about Malaysia, right? So Malaysia or even Central Asia, and I don't think this is something that maybe many people have even contemplated, is the cross-border opportunities between India and Uzbekistan, right? Central Asia, or India and Malaysia. So yeah, that's where I see the opportunity.
Okay. India has been from very ancient time. Our civilization is first of all very ancient civilization, and for for many years, I mean, from ancient time, we are trade oriented civilization. We
Yes,
had connections to many parts of the world, and the way it developed because India and Malaysia had connections through the sea route.
yes,
So yes, we had amazing connections, and those names were also different that time. It's about the ancient world. So and in between those invasion and colonized, India became colonized and everything, and gradually we are there is two three communities, old communities, they are completely involved in business, different types of business. There
mm,
are few, Gujarat, Rajasthan, these area, people from these area, very old families, and they are continuing with their businesses, all sorts of business, traditional, new, and they are in many companies who are in traditional businesses. They are investing that money to this new age technical business. So India is predominantly we had huge farming land and trade oriented society. So this is in this new industry 4.0. I think we have that good chance to make things better in technical way, and we can do good in expanding our trade relationship with all the countries across the world. And thank you, you came here, you gave us clarity on different topics, and I hope your coming visit would be great in India. You get some discussion at investment level, and get to connect with many government officials and all, and there should be some collaboration between these two countries, because not only art and games, technology could be a very good bridging factor between two countries. It's the new cultural thing, I would say. For a class of people, for a clan of people like the techies, it's the new culture, new thing, isn't it? Don't you think so?
100%. Look, the last thing, I would love everyone to
Sure.
get a copy of my book, Unleashing Malaysia's Economic Potential. This really is a book which talks about breaking down all of those barriers to trade, and
Yeah.
and I think that we would. Obviously, I'm coming to India. I actually, like you mentioned, my publisher is in New Delhi. Uh, you know, uh, and some of my best friends are from India as well, whether they're in Malaysia or India or the US and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to my trip. But now you've got me even more excited because I haven't really given a lot of thought to how India has progressed over the last 5 to 10 years. So I'm looking forward to see the infrastructure. I'm
Sure.
looking forward to see all the latest technology, and certainly, I'd love to spend some time there to talk to government officials and understand different areas that obviously our two countries, or three countries, Malaysia, Uzbekistan, and India, can work together.
Yeah. Sure. And now India is it's work in progress, the development and all, and people are very vocal over social media.
Yes.
We openly place our opinion and all, and many times we have noticed that someone somewhere is listening and taking care of all of these things. That's a good thing. That has
Yes.
changed. So the narrative and all of these things has changed over years, and that's really good. People can connect in this indirect way also. We can connect to our government and all. So thank you
Yeah.
for your time, Matthew. Yeah, please tell me, you have anything to I have asked so many questions. You have anything, please share.
For me, I'm just really excited to join you today and have this discussion. I think, that it opens up a whole new opportunity between India and
Even I
Malaysia.
also hope so. Yes.
I think that you've answered a lot of questions that maybe people that I know would be asking, and that is, where does India stand now? And how easy or how difficult it is for to create these cross-border collaboration between our countries. So I think this is the beginning, not the end, and I'm certainly looking forward to travel, and hopefully before the end of this year I can make it over to India. But I'll certainly be there for the New Delhi Book Fair, to sort of be there and talk to people in person, and sign copies of my book for
Great.
anyone that would like a copy.
Sure. Please share your experience and photo over. Share some pic in
Yeah,
LinkedIn. We will get to
yeah.
see. That
Thank
will
you
be
so
great.
much.
Okay. So we are done. I have asked all my questions, and I'm following you in LinkedIn, so I get to see all the stories you share, your opinion, your all the lovely pictures. Thank you for coming to this podcast. You are immensely busy in investment and all, developing this talent pool. I understand that, and placement and staffing, all of these multiple works you are handling. So thank you very much for accepting our invitation and spending so much time with us. Your valuable comments and insight would help many people, and those who really interested to get some investment, you can ping him. Matthew is here. Orbit Investment is there. If he can get you to many places, many people, many connections there. So thank you very much for this episode, and viewers, thank you all. Please don't forget to follow Tech Simplified TV and the Semiconductor Podcast. It's our domain, and we will all together make it better. So thank you for watching up to this point, and bye for today.
Okay, thank you.